Hello, my name is Sara Gibbs, and the animal behavior I've observed this semester is the grubbing behavior of Canada geese, or Branta canadensis. As you'll see in this video, the goose is swimming in a small pond and will repeatedly duck its head under the water and return to the surface back after. Most of the time, when the goose bobs its head under the water, you can see it use its body to repeatedly yank or pull up something under the water, typically several times before resurfacing. As we'll see later in the video, when the goose is on land, this behavior is done to pull up plants out of the ground in order to eat them. Pulling the plants out of the ground to eat the stems or the rhizomes is known as grubbing by researchers Geese et al., as well as the other researchers I'll refer to throughout the presentation. So for my causation hypothesis is that the Canada goose is not able to break down much of the plant cell wall, which causes it to selectively eat parts of the plant with the highest amounts of necessary nutrients as a method of compensation for the low retention rate. This information was provided by Geese et al. In a 2005 study and was supported with information found by Geese et al. In 2001. Essentially, according to Geese, these geese are able to determine which parts of particular plants are higher in readily absorbable nutrients, and they can respond to changes in their bodies and nutritional needs to eat the most efficient food available. In other contexts, though, such as harshly cold environments with little vegetation, Geese found that the geese would prefer to eat parts of the plant above ground rather than grubbing. Geese et al. Also led me to my development hypothesis, which is that Canada goslings have a more diverse diet than adults and progressively learn to identify appropriate parts of plants to include in their diet over the course of their development to adulthood, which leads them to be much more selective in the plant parts they consume later in life. Specifically, Canada geese will typically opt for parts of the plant which are high in nitrogen and low in fiber, as this is much easier for the goose's digestive system to handle, according to Geese. Additionally, my evolution hypothesis, which is coming up, is that grubbing behavior may have been an adaptation to changes in food availability, which was selected for grubbing to be the preferred method of foraging in geese who had a higher availability of plants who held most of their readily available nutrients in their roots and rhizomes. So, a study by Johnson and Afton in 2016 led me to this hypothesis. And they also state that bill morphology often responds to changing selective pressures in the diet or niche, and that adds on to my evolution hypothesis here. You can see the goose is grubbing on land this time instead of in the water, but it's still going to be pulling up the plants out of the ground to eat the roots and rhizomes to get that nutrient that they need. Finally, my function hypothesis, which is also coming up, is that grubbing behavior is able to persist functionally due to the relative lack of hunters and predators in the native habitats of the Canada goose, so like urban and suburban North America, such as lawns and ponds, and that was concluded by Conover in 1991. So, in other words, the Canada geese are able to continue the grubbing behavior because it does not put them in danger of predators while they're gathering the nutrients they need for their growth and reproduction. So, therefore, it's a functional behavior for their continued survival. This behavior relates back to the feeding and foraging module in cogbooks, as the Canada goose is a generalist animal who can be highly selective of food, which, depending on what it's consuming and its nutrient needs and availability. This also relates back to parental care, as Canada goslings learn in part from their parents how to select the appropriate food as well as how to grub. And then, of course, this relates back to the Tinbergen primer, which allowed me to break down the behavior into the four potential causes. Thank you so much for watching.